If you like classical architecture and tortured screaming, you're in luck.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to Building Naboo in Lego Part 7. So we're going to continue on from where we left off at Part 6. So at the end of Part 6, I kind of abruptly ended it since it was sort of getting a bit long. So I didn't go over all the techniques that I used in this area. So that's what we'll get into first. And then we will continue building up this wall. Alright, so for this wall, I've used a couple of different techniques. So for these sort of pillar bits here, they use some snot techniques. So along each side is a stack of 1x1 bricks with studs on the sides. So that way some rails can be placed sort of like that on top of the studs. And then when the bricks are put like normally, the plates with the rail modifications stick out this way. So that way it's got the two rows there. As you can see there's two rows of the rails sticking up. And then they go onto jumper plates, so that way they are sort of unaligned from the rest of the wall. And then the rails come like into line where the bricks would be lined up. And then on the top are two slopes, and then on the wall around it are two inverted slopes. So that way when the inverted slopes are placed like this, aligned with the normal bricks, there's about a half brick slope that sort of sticks out there. So that way this whole section comes out of the wall just a little bit. And then for this middle section here, it uses a very similar technique, but instead the middle row is the bricks with the studs on the sides, and then the plates are stacked on the sides of that. So that way these rail bits here can stick out. And then along the middle is a row of 1x plates, and then on top of that will be 1x1 pieces that are sort of curved arches. But they still haven't come in yet, so I haven't been able to do that. And then at the top is a row of 2x plates with some tiles on top. And that just sits onto a brick that's on a jumper plate. So this sticks out the same amount as these little column bits here. And the wall goes here, which is about half a brick back from where this bit sits. And then at the bottom here is a 1x2 plate with the rail attachment, and 3 of these tan clip pieces. And that just sits onto a 1x1 brick with a stud on the side. And then at the front here we have this sand blue sort of contraption, and it uses a mixture of different unique sort of pieces. The only connection this has is to the wall, so it's connected to these cone pieces which sits on some studs that is attached to a 1x1 brick with the stud on the side in the wall there. And then going from the cone, there's a hot dog or sausage piece in the sand blue, and then 2 of these clip pieces. And the 2 clip pieces here are just joined together by attaching the 2 clips together like so. So that way one is rotated 90 degrees to the other, like that. And that just connects like that. And then at either end is a bar hole. So the sausage piece connects into one end, and then at the other end is one of these triangular shield pieces. So this triangular sort of shield piece here has a bar that goes both downwards and also across. So when it goes across, it connects into another cone piece, which then connects to the 4 long bar there. And that's where it meets at the other side, which is symmetrical to this side. And then attached to this 4 long bar piece are 2 minifigure hands at either end, and also a droid arm in the middle. At the moment that droid arm is dark bluish grey. I'm not sure whether or not I'll get a sand blue one of those, as no one in Australia on Bricklink is selling them, so I would have to get it from overseas. So at the moment I think dark bluish grey will do, since it's sort of in the middle here, so it sort of lines up with the dark bluish grey of the floor. And then that droid arm connects to another 4 long bar, which has 2 minifigure hands at either end as well. So I'll give you a closer look at that. So those minifigure hands there and there almost connect with each other. So I'm not actually sure what this is, but I decided to add this in since it is actually in the hangar of Naboo. And you can see on the other side here, I've made good progress on this side. So this is the total height of this area, which is the same height as this area over here. And this area here has 2 of these patterns here on either side, which are the same ones that are used over in this area. So there's 2 of those, one on either side of the doorway. And then next to that will be a little control panel, which I still have to get some of the pieces for. And then over here we have 3 of these, which are the same sort of design as over here. And then this little column bit here will be the same sort of design as this bit here, but without the light there. So I've still got to finish off some of the designs for this, as that light should be a bit further up, and then here there's a little control panel, and then these tubes here go all the way to the top, and they should be in light bluish grey. So I'm still waiting on a few parts for those to come in. Hopefully that will come in the next few days, and then I'll be able to make more progress on those. So while we wait for those parts to come in, we'll continue working on the wall here, and I've realised that I've missed a few details that should be around this area, so I'm going to have to pull off a few bricks there, put those details in, and then we can continue on from there. So let's get into that. Alright, so I've made a bit more progress on that wall now, and now a passport's come in from Bricklink. So this is the last one from Bricklink, or at least the main last one. So this is the one with all the dark bluish grey pieces that I need to cover in the floor. So we've got a whole bunch of those, and we've got some light bluish grey bricks, and then a whole bunch of other various pieces like tan tiles, including 2x4 tiles, which we need, and just various other bricks. And I got these sand blue sort of gear racks, I think they're called, and I've got them in case I need to use them for the little sand blue mechanism sort of bit there, but I don't think I'll actually end up using those. And just other various antennas, these cylindrical pieces, Technic bricks, some more dark bluish grey plates, and various other pieces like for the Naboo starfighters, and a whole bunch of bricks in there. So now that we've got all these pieces, we can fill in some of these gaps in the floor, and then we can make a lot more progress. So the main order I'm waiting on now is the one from the Lego store, so the bricks and pieces order. So once that's in, we'll have more or less all the pieces we need. But for now, let's keep on working on what we've got. So let's get into the next time lapse. Right, so these areas are looking a lot more complete now. For this one over here, we just need some light bluish grey corner tiles, some 1x1 black round tiles, and some 1x2 light bluish grey tiles to finish off this. And then this whole section will be done. And for this one, we just need some of the same pieces, and we also need some of the train track pieces to go along the middle, and that will also run along this side as well. And then we just need pieces to finish off the wall here and raise this up to about here. But I think for now, while we wait for those parts to come in, we will get onto the section that goes here, that joins onto this one, as we have more or less all the parts to do that, except for the ones we're missing, like on this section. So let's get into that. Alright, so that's that base plate more or less done. So all that's missing are the rail sort of train track pieces that go along here, and also a couple of 1x2 tiles in light bluish grey on the edges. And then some of these gaps here are for the 1x2 grill tiles that sort of overlap between the base plates. So now that we've more or less finished off this base plate, we'll get started on the next section. And I think the next area I'll be doing will be the sort of storage room area that connects onto here, which will be on this tan base plate here. So let's get into that. so here's the almost complete storage room. So it's still missing a few parts, similar to the parts that are missing from the other sections. So like the 1x2 light bluish grey tiles and a few other pieces. But other than that, it's more or less done. So it's looking good. This back wall here looks a bit bare at the moment, but that's because I haven't finished everything quite yet. So at the moment I'm just doing like the main structures, and then later on I will come back and do all the other little bits of details. So in this storage room there's a lot of like shelving and crates and just various containers and things in this room. So once I've finished all the main structure, I'll come back and build all those. Here's a closer look at how I did these lights here. So I've used a similar sort of method as I did with these ones over here. So I used a Technic piece here, which has the axle connector, and then it has the room for a pin. So then these cylinders are just attached, one at either side, like that. So that just sits on top. And then there's one on the bottom as well. And then on the top and bottom of those cylinder pieces is a stud. And then the wires for the lights just go between the bricks in the middle. And attached to the axle part of this Technic piece is one of these little half bush pieces in tan. And that just helps to create that nice flow of tan going down. As if that wasn't there, you would either see the dark brown of the piece, or this whole sort of section, this little light area would be sort of pushed in further. And that would then sort of collide with these tiles here. And you can see on this one how the wires come out the other side. So I've left a little gap there, just so that way the wires don't have to go through two layers of bricks. There's just one brick they have to go between. And you can see in there are those 1x2 bricks with the axle hole, and that's what the lights connect into. And I've installed the lights, so there's lights in all of these parts here. And that connects into this section here, and then that lead comes out from here. And then when it gets plugged into the power source, it lights up like that. So I think it's looking good so far. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'll move all those parts out of the way. I'll shift this area across to there, and then we can see what it looks like when it's all together. So let's do that, and then I'll get back to you. Alright, and here we have it all connected up. So the only part that's not connected properly are the two sort of sections, this side and this side, and that's because some of the wiring still isn't connected in properly. So you can see some of the cords and things in there. So I've still got to finish off that section before I can finish off the wiring. And I'm still waiting on one more Lego order, so that way I can finish off the column bits. Let's take a look at it with the lights on. So that's with all the lights on, and all the cords connect all the way through, and then they come out to this one lead here, and that connects into the power bank there. So the only section that doesn't have lights is this base plate here, and that's just because there aren't any lights in it. So there's three sort of rows of these lights. So there's one there, and there'll be one about there. So that made doing this base plate a lot easier than the others, as I didn't have to worry about all the wiring going through. So I think this will be, or has been, the easiest to do so far, and probably will be the easiest to do. There might be one more section like this further along where there's no lights, but apart from that all the other sections will have lights. Like these sort of little lights will be all along here. So yeah, I think the lights definitely add a lot to the MOC. You can see the comparison between this sort of area where there's a lot of little lights and this area here where there's no lights. This area seems a bit dull by comparison, but I think this area would be harder to incorporate lights into, except for those little rooms there. That's going to do it for this update. So we made quite a bit of progress, not quite as much as last week, but we were still able to do quite a bit, finishing off both this base plate and also the little room over there. And we also made a bit more work on that wall there. So hopefully in the next update I will get my Lego order, and that will give me a lot more parts that I need to fill in the gaps and also start on these columns. But until that arrives, hopefully I'll be able to make more progress on a couple of base plates along here, and also I'll continue working on the wall here. So thank you all for watching. Let me know what you think of the MOC so far in the comments, and if there's anything you would change or improve, and I'll see you in the next one.